shot, too shy.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We got an APU to go service. We got a Carrier Comfort Pro APU that we got to service. So I'm going to go and get some tools, load them up in the Jeep, and we'll go get that taken care of. And I'll show you how to do a basic oil change on, at least on a Comfort Pro Carrier. So let's go take care of it. Right, so we don't need the impact wrench, but I'm bringing it anyway. I don't know why. Got some sockets in case I need different sizes. Got the oil pan to drain into, and got some fuel additive to put in the fuel filter when we prime it. Got some crimps right here. That way we can crimp off the fuel line when we take off the inline filter. And the jack here is for an entirely different job, so don't worry about the jack. Don't need the jack to do a service on an APU. And I don't remember exactly what socket size it is to take the drain plug out on the APU, so bring in an assortment of sockets. So we'll see what we can muster up when we get there. Right, let's go. And right here is the APU filter kit, guys, as you can see there. Comes with the fuel filter, the oil filter, air filter, and the inline filter. Right down here as it's shown on the box. Whole kit was 50 bucks, so we'll go ahead and go through that on the APU and have a nice fresh oil change and fuel filter. And air filter, all that good stuff. But I got to go get some oil first. So let's go ahead and run over to the auto parts store and pick up some oil. Right. Got everything we need now. Got some oil, and I got some def too to throw in the truck because I'm a little low right now. So just to be safe, till I get to the next fueling spot, figured I'd throw some def in here. And it's a good idea to throw some higher quality def in from time to time. It's good for the system. So let's go ahead and take all this stuff out and get to doing some oil changes. Right here's the def. We'll set it right here for now. Alright, some oil for the APU, funnel for the oil, and let me get the pan out of there. We'll get set the pan up and get ready for the drainage of the old oil. Man, it is a beautiful day today. So, perfect day to work on the truck a little bit. Like I said last time on the last video where I was talking about the APU, and I believe I was doing the shocks. Either I did the shocks. Yeah, I think I did the shocks. Yes, the shocks. Okay. So, on the video I did where I did the shocks, I was talking about the APU. It's a little bit of a pain in the ass compared to like the green APU as far as taking the cover off, but it's not that bad. It's harder to get it back on because the washers that you thread the screws into, they just kind of like to fall all over the place, so they're kind of hard to line up. But anyway, we'll take it off and I'll show you where everything is. Like I said, they're not hard to get off, just a pain in the butt to get back on. And I'll show you why in a second. Man, will you listen to them birds chirp? Well, now they're not doing it. There they are. Beautiful. Then once you do this, you're going to want to find the right impact socket and put it on your impact gun and impact the drain plug out of the pan. I'm kidding. I really hope somebody didn't just stop the video right there and do just that, but If you did, sorry.
Stop it!
All right. Get this off of here. All right, there's the inline fuel filter right there. It's kind of a hard guy to get to, but just harder. It's hard to get to the screw in the very back. That's the hard part to get to. So we'll get her though. Now we gotta take the bottom cover off, because the bottom cover is how you get to the filters, the screw-on filters, the oil and the fuel filter. So we'll take that off. Oh, and the air filter as well. All right, guys, first things first. We could anyway make it the first thing or not, but right here is where the air filter goes. So take it out of there. Okay, let's zoom out a little bit so you can see better. Yeah, I'd say it's about time to put a new filter on there. All right. Now, I'll probably leave that off. It'll make it a little bit easier to access the oil filter. So we'll leave that off so it drains, the oil filter drains a little better. And of course the fuel filter, which we'll do that after I do the oil change. All right, well, the 22 or 23 millimeter might work on that drain plug. It's a little loose, but I'm gonna see if I can find the proper. It might be a 22, or because that one is a little loose, it might be a standard. So we just gotta find the next closest size in the standard. And I'm not good with math, so I gotta go ahead and do it the hard way and just try different sizes. The actual size is a 7/8. So yeah, 7/8 fits perfectly. Uh-oh, stay, come here. Anyways, the 7/8 fits perfectly on the drain plug. So let's go ahead and use that. Let's prep the drain pan for some oil drainage. Oh, look, you can even see the drain plug right there. That's perfect. Awesome. So we could actually drain it without getting under it, theoretically. All right. Let's try. I heard a buzzer like my APU is about to start. It's not on a start mode though. It's never started up by itself before, so. Come on now, sir. Maybe I'll have to get under it. Give myself a little more leverage. Had to loosen it with a breaker bar, but we got her. Oh, it's already draining. It's gonna be messy. It's gonna be messy. Messy Bessie. Ah, I'm just getting windy. There's a lot of threads on this. Come on. There we go. Wow. Okay. That is interesting. Fantastic. Well, I can't say that's ever happened before. Maybe I should have taken the filler cap off as well. That could be why it chugged out like that. Didn't have sufficient airflow to let it drain. I don't know. I rarely pull my fill caps when I drain oil anyway, but maybe it's different on this APU because it's more of a straight through system. I don't know, but whatever. It's drained out now. Got it all over my legs. That was interesting. All right, let it drain a little more, and then we'll put the drain plug back in and we'll get the filter out. All right, got the drain plug back in there. Now when you put the drain plug back in, you don't want to snug the thing all the way down. Like, you don't want to freaking, you know, use some extremely strong dude. Not me. Use some extremely strong dude's name. Hulk Hogan. That shows my age. You don't want to use some crazy strength to tighten that drain plug in there, because then you might have trouble getting it out, and you don't want to strip the pan. So you know, so just kind of snug it down there and be done with it. It's time for the oil filter. They don't give you a whole lot of room to pull that filter off, because if I can get it up here without getting oil on my phone. Yeah, right up, I don't know, right up here. There's just, because of this framing for the APU, it can only come back so far, so it barely has enough room to completely unthread from the from up there. So anyways, we got it off though. It's right down there draining into the pan, and we will get the new one on there. And don't forget, when you put a new filter on, put oil, old or new, it doesn't matter, on the rubber gasket. Just kind of with your finger coat it a little bit, that way it doesn't stick when you got to take it off next time, and it just kind of helps it seal better. It moistens up that gasket, and it gives it a better seat, better whatever you want to call it. That way it, you know, doesn't leak as much, hopefully at all. So all right, we'll get that new filter on, and then we'll be ready to put some oil in it, and then we can do the fuel system part. And again, right here is the kit if you go buy from Carrier. I don't know if there are any filters. I'm sure there are, but I don't know if there's, I don't know what filters you can cross-reference with that part number and the oil filter part number. But here's the kit. So I'm not sure if you can cross-reference those with anything. I'd imagine you can. But the whole kit was only 50 bucks. So it's really not that, it's not bad anyway as it is. It's just $50 for 4 filters. So as long as you do it yourself, it's not bad. It's the labor, if you have Carrier do it for you, that's when it gets to be expensive. It's the Carrier down here in Hamilton, Ohio, or Fairfield, Ohio, wherever it's addressed. That Carrier service center is $170 an hour. So I'd imagine they would probably charge an hour's worth of labor to do this. Probably what the book time would call for it. Or I'm sure it's a set rate to do a PM on an APU, just like it is on a truck. So yeah, so I'm sure it's probably at least 170 plus the kit to put that on, you know, so you're probably looking at about 220 bucks or more to do it, to have them do it. So 50 bucks for just the filter kit, if you do it yourself, is not too bad in my opinion. Oh, and by the way, thank you to whoever gifted me this screwdriver. They were so kind as to put it right in front of my passenger steer tire. You know, it was a great way, it was a great gift as I was doing my pre-trip on my truck, and I saw this screwdriver laying right in front of my $650 steer tire. I really appreciate this new hyper tough screwdriver. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much. You shouldn't have. You really shouldn't have. All right. Oil filter. Gotcha. Alright, see this little rubber gasket right here? So I'll put some oil on there and make sure that the gasket stayed on the old one, which looks like it did. Alright. Yep, nothing up there. Cool. Alright. So now, like I said, you can just use old oil. It's just like changing oil on a car. Just use some old oil with what was on my finger? Alright. It's a weird little gasket. I can't get all the way in there. It's not a flat kind of gasket. There it goes. Now, put it up there and thread it back on. All right, we got her up there. Now, something else you want to do when you put a filter back on, you don't want to crank it down too tight because you risk crushing that gasket. You only want to crank it down really hand snug, and maybe another quarter of a turn with the wrench after that, but I wouldn't advise that. I would just do hand snug, as tight as you can get with your hand, and you know, then be done with it again. So now we're gonna go ahead and tackle the fuel side of things. Here, fuel filter. Actually, before we do the fuel, just so we don't forget, because we're gonna get sidetracked doing the fuel, let's fill this up with oil, so that way it's at least full of oil. That way we don't forget to put the oil in there after we do the fuel. That could be bad. Calls for about 3.5 quarts. So just keep an eye on it. See where it goes. Make sure nothing's leaking down there. All right, I'll finish putting the oil in here and we'll get back to you. All right, guys, we got the oil in there. We're good to go. It's a little bit above the full mark, but it'll go down when you run it the first time, and it fills up that oil filter. So we're good on oil. Now we just got to go ahead and deal with the fuel system side. All right, we got the old inline filter off, and we got the new one right here. You can see the difference. Old one's obviously a little dirty. New one's obviously a little cleaner. Funny how that works. Want to make sure you put it back on in the same orientation that you took off the old one. So you'll see the arrow pointing right here. This basically points towards the block, towards the engine itself. And this right here, this end is the end that will be facing you when you take the cover off. So this will go kind of upstream, so to speak. This will go towards the tank feed line, I guess you can call it. And yeah, so we got that off. It was a pain in the butt because it's super tight. But you can kind of see it right there. You can see the diesel fuel in that line, that bluish hue color. So we got that out. I was not able to crimp that off because there's just no space back there, but I don't think that one's really as important to crimp off because, like I said, it's coming, you know, it's coming this way. So we got the, this is the line right here that goes into the engine. I got that crimped off, and then we'll go ahead and work on getting the new filter in there. And just so you know, this right here, this bolt, for the clamp, there we go, words escaped me. This bolt for the clamp is a 7mm. Smallest I had was an 8mm. Go figure. Luckily though, here at Penske, these guys are freaking awesome. And they know us well enough that whenever we need to use a tool, we can go in there and just ask them, and they let us use whatever tool we want. So, well, to a degree, I would imagine. But small tools like sockets and things like that that we may not have, they let us use. So I was able to use a 7mm from in there. We'll put this inline, I keep wanting to call it an inline fuse. This inline filter, we'll put it back in. And I wanted to get that done before I did the screw-on filter, just because it's the hardest one. So it's just harder to reach, that's all. So we'll go ahead and throw it back in there, and then we'll do the bottom filter, the screw-on filter, and then we'll start it up and prime it up and make sure it's good to go. All right, guys, we're pretty much done. I just wanted to go ahead and get it buttoned up and taken care of. I was running out of time, but I'll just show you what the new filter looks like as opposed to the old one. It's a big difference. There's the new one. There's the old one for the air filter. We already got the fuel filter on there. Got the inline filter put back on. And then, of course, we got the oil filter up there. So we're gonna go ahead and close up the air filter, and then I'm gonna prime up the system and see how she does. All right, guys, the best way that I know of to prime this system up, the carrier specifically, is, whew, it is hot back here. Specifically the carrier, is you just simply hold the APU button. So you hold this APU on-off button right there. You just hold that button for, you know, like basically, okay, let me start this over. If you press the button once, it'll crank just to start. If you hold the button it'll crank and crank and crank to prime all the systems. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, let's turn it on and see what it does. Try it one more time. There you have it, guys. That is how you do a service on a Carrier Comfort Pro APU. Now let's go get it buttoned back up and cover back on it and be done. All right. Shut it off for right now while I go out there and put everything on. Let's check for leaks again. No leaks in there with that filter. Oil filter looks good. That's another reason why I wanted to kind of clean them off. No leak on the fuel filter. And the drain plug looks pretty good too.
You stole my heart of gold after my silver soul. Can you dig in 'cause I'm done cleaning up your mess. Found myself in my regrets. I've become a little stronger now, a little stronger now.
All right, guys. I figure we'll stop here and get a nice little bath for the truck. Get her looking all spick and span, and take our 30 while we're here. Yeah. So yeah, that was basically how you do a APU service. For the most part, I would imagine all APUs are going to be roughly the same, just have different locations maybe for the filters, things like that. I don't think that they all have an inline fuel filter like mine does. I know a buddy of mine has an APU that does not have the inline fuel filter, so yeah, they don't all have them. But you know, like I said, they will obviously have a fuel filter, at least oil filter, and all that good stuff, air filter. Pretty simple stuff. But yeah, we'll go ahead and wait here for these trucks to get through. I've got 3 trucks ahead of me, so we will absolutely be getting a 30 in here. I reckon right now I'll go ahead and look for a campground. In a couple weeks we're gonna go camping over Memorial Day down in Tennessee. We're gonna go visit Ruby Falls outside of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Never been to Ruby Falls before. We're gonna obviously take the motorhome down there and the Jeep, and have a nice long weekend down there. So I can't wait for that. That'll be a good time. So I'm gonna get online and look for some campgrounds. I guess we're done. It's a good thing this isn't a very busy road. That way I can stick the nose of my truck out here, because it's not a very long exit driveway. But we'll get on out there and see how it looks. All right. Mostly wanted to get those wheels clean. They were dirty from when I did the oil change, the tire change. Still not great, but good enough. I ain't looking for perfection. That looks pretty good in the sunlight. I always like to make sure I've got all my bezels still after a truck wash. Oh yeah, that looks a lot better. Heck of a lot better. Yeah, that blue looks amazing in the sunlight when it's clean. I like it. Oh, that line got long. Alright, we're good, guys. Alright, now I'm just going to run over here to the Love's and refill my coffee. And we'll be good to go. I've still got some coffee in there, but gonna try to make the rest of this in one shot without stopping again, so might as well top it off while we're here. Yep, like I said, I love the blue on this truck. It's unless the sun is like shining directly on it, it doesn't even look blue. It just looks black. But once you get that sunlight on there, especially right after a wash like that, she has a nice metallic flake in it, and you know, I love the way metallic flake looks in paint. I just love it. You know, that's one thing I like about my Jeep. That metallic flake in that green is absolutely amazing. The metallic flaking in this isn't as impressive, but it's nice for a work truck, for a basic work truck. All that good stuff. Let's get over there to the Love's. We're here in Hubbard right now, Hubbard, Ohio. Decided to take 80 up and across today. A little longer, but no tolls. And honestly, driving across 80 is just a lot more relaxing to me than the turnpike. Seems like the truck doesn't have to work as hard. It's more miles, obviously, but there's not as long of grades. And it just seems like the truck isn't working as hard. So it's less stress on me. You know, when the truck works hard, I'm constantly waiting for something to malfunction. So we'll get over here and get some coffee. There we go. It's a pretty day. There's some clouds out there to the west, but I don't really think we got to worry about it. I love them clouds right up there though in that sky. Those are pretty. Hopefully we can get in and out of this Love's. This Love's is one of those Love's that can be kind of a pain in the butt, but we'll see. Got about 43, almost 44,000 pounds on here according to my paperwork. Just a little bit heavier than a typical load for what we do. Nice looking fifth wheel. Why in the world would you be in that position? It's really hard to make sense of people out here these days. Very, very, very difficult. And he's probably going to e-log crawl his way through the parking lot. Fantastic. I'm just gonna go right up here. I'm not getting fuel. Of course, what's he doing in that Western? Why do you have your backup lights on in the Western Star when you could just pull forward? I don't get it. Am I missing something? I don't know. He nodded to me like he was in approval of what I'm doing, so I really hope I don't know what he's doing, but hey. Nice truck though. I like the truck. Alright, let's just pull up here so we can get out of here easier. I'm not really blocking anybody. I'm not blocking anybody, so let's go get some coffee. Well, that sucked. You know how I've made, not made videos about it, but I've talked in my videos about how my radio sometimes will freeze up, and the only way to fix it is to pull the fuse. Well, my radio hasn't been acting up for a long time, and then it started acting up again a couple days ago. Pulled the fuse, reset it, it was fine. Did it again, it locked up again just now, so I pulled the fuse, and then I dropped the fuse. It's down there somewhere. I don't know where, but it's down there somewhere. Luckily, I'm here at the Love still, so I picked up some fuses. I've got a couple spare fuses in the truck, but they're 10 amps, and this is a 15 amp fuse, so just to be safe, I wanted to make sure I put the right fuse in. So that sucks, but oh well. We'll have a spare fuse in there somewhere if I can ever find it again. Can somebody tell me why it looks like it's about to rain? Can somebody please tell me? I just washed the truck, damn it. Don't rain. I don't want to see no diamonds on my windshield. Don't even think about it. All right, unlike a lot of people, I like to actually stop here and get out and make sure nothing looks bad on the truck. Everything I can see, make sure the tires are good. Because this is a pretty steep hill. It's about 8.5%, 9% grade going down for a bit of it. So, want to be as safe as you can. I've made a video on this hill before when I had my 379. 18 speed, you know how to run down that hill with that truck. It's a lot easier with this truck. This truck's engine brake is actually a lot more effective. This truck, I can run down this hill without ever touching the brake if I have it in the right gear. Couldn't do that with the 379 that I called Levi. Couldn't do it with that truck. This truck you can. So very minimal brake wear with a truck like this. But let's get out real quick and walk around, make sure nothing is amiss. Woo! Yep, drive tires still look good. Awesome. It is gorgeous here though. Absolutely gorgeous. Not the wheels, but the scenery. Well, at least until you come around here and you see all this crap. Yep. Mifflin County. still looks clean. We're good to go. Like I said, I've done a video on this hill before, but the beauty of this hill is gorgeous. It's just beautiful scenery up here. So we'll do we'll take some footage as we go down the hill so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But yeah, there's the map right there. Alright, here we go. I typically put this in 8th gear with engine brakes on max in manual mode. Whoop. And just let it ride. Now I am a little heavier than usual, so we'll see if it still maintains speed without using the service brakes. Typically I'm about 40,000 pounds, or no more anyway, but I'm closer to 44,000 today. Have a cute little runaway truck ramp on this hill. I don't know if you'd really want to try to use it. It's barely even the length of a tractor trailer, but they've got one, and it's not really even a hill. It's just kind of flattens out compared to this downhill. Now right here is about where it gets to be the steepest. Look at that view though, guys. Absolutely gorgeous. You're probably hearing the tone of the engine. I'm speeding up a little bit. It's not quite holding back like normal with the lighter loads. I might have to use the brakes. RPMs are getting a little higher than I like for them to get up to. But you just kind of pump them a little bit. You kind of do a quick little jab at the brake, and then you let go and you do another quick little jab. You do not hold the brake pedal down. That may have been the only brake applications that I have to perform on this hill, even at this weight. Now we got a Volvo barreling down on me. We'll see what he does. Here's that ramp, if you want to call it that. From this point on, it's not nearly as steep, so it's a little less dramatic if you have a truck that doesn't like steep hills. I bumped her up a gear just to keep the RPMs down a little bit. YJ. I like that. That blue Jeep, that was a YJ. For people that don't understand the whole Jeep lingo, 87 to 95 Jeep Wranglers are a YJ. I've had a bunch of them. Learned how to drive a stick shift in a YJ, and my dad's YJ. Threw me into it in his freshly plowed farm field. Told me to run up to the barn and get a tool. Ain't nothing like learning how to drive a clutch in a freshly plowed farm field, I'll tell you what. We are down. Once we get around this curve, that's the bottom of the hill. There you have it. That is how you traverse that particular hill on 322. Just for reference, I don't know the name of the hill, but just for reference, we are right outside of Milroy, Pennsylvania. Alright guys, well, just kind of wanted to say something a little bit right here. On my last video, I made the video about working on the Mustang, and I was accused of the channel being more about the toys that I have now, things like that, and and it wasn't I don't think it was really in a very derogative way necessarily. They were just kind of making the observation. And, I'm not going to shy away. I mean, sure, cars are my interest. And I'm fortunate enough now that I have two of my absolute favorite cars in the world. I have the Mustang and I have the Jeep. And, I've always been a Jeep guy. Like I've said before, this is like my 11th Jeep. And I grew up with Jeeps. My dad had a Jeep ever since I was born. He's technically had one since before I was born, but he sold that one before I was born and then bought another one right after I was born. So he had a CJ5 that he bought brand new in 78, and then he had a Jeep YJ Wrangler. He was one of the first people to buy a Wrangler. Bought a brand new 87 Wrangler in 86, and that was the Jeep he had. He bought that when I was a year old. I was born in 85, and I have so many memories of that Jeep. I have so many memories, of my childhood in that Jeep. That's just where a lot of my memories stem from. I've had a lot of fond memories with my dad in that Jeep. From a trail here or there to going back to his back 40 on his property and cutting firewood for his wood burning stove in his cabin, to road trips in his Wrangler that he had back then. Things like that. That's just, where so many of my memories were. My parents were divorced. My parents were divorced. So every other weekend I had, my dad had, he had custody of my sister and me. And I can remember, looking forward to seeing my dad and that Wrangler pulling into my mom and stepdad's driveway. That meant my dad was there, and it was a very, just a great feeling, a very good feeling to me. And he owned that Jeep for 25 years. So Jeeps have always been just a part of me. And cars in general have always been a part of me. And I've always wanted either a Corvette or a Mustang. This is why I have the Mustang. I've always wanted either a Corvette or a Mustang. I've just always dreamed to have a Corvette or a Mustang. And I know they're, in a way, two completely different cars, but also in a way not. I could have bought a Corvette, and I looked very, very strongly at buying a Corvette. But they're two-seaters. I have 3 kids, 3 young kids. And so the next closest vehicle that I wanted, as far as a dream car went, for something fun to drive, was a Mustang. And that, of course, has a back seat. Not a big back seat, but it's got a back seat. So I can at least take my 3 kids around, if my wife stays home, which she's not a fan of the Mustang. So she likes the way it looks. She actually thinks it's a pretty car. So, she actually thinks, sorry, my wife just texted me. It was kind of funny. Anyway, so she thinks it's a pretty car, but I can at least take my 3 kids out and do something with them in that car. Whereas if I had bought a Corvette, I'd have to choose which kid do I want to take today, So I just felt the Mustang was more appropriate, and it was still a car that I thoroughly would enjoy, and one that I always, again, dreamt to own. So I've got, like I said, the Jeep and the Mustang now. So being that those are highly sought after cars in my personal, life, I like to talk about them. I like to work on them. I like to show them in my videos and things like that, and I'd like to lean more towards creating content based on things like that. Maybe I'll put a lift on my Jeep and I'll, make a video about that, or I'll do, something to the Mustang and I'll make a video about that. I just enjoy those cars, and I enjoy when I have time to work on them. And again, like I said, I'm fortunate enough that I work hard enough to have those cars. And they're not even that expensive. I mean, they're not crazy expensive vehicles. I bought them both used, and they're just not super expensive. Hell, a buddy of mine, he just went out and bought a pickup truck that cost as much as the 2 of those put together. So, it's not like, it's not a flex to have those cars. But, but again, they're just cars that I enjoy very much. So again, I like to create content, and I'd love to create more content based on those cars, do more things with those cars, and, maybe do more things with other cars. Maybe not cars of that caliber, but, I've talked about it before, buy an old car that needs work and, for cheap and fix it up and then sell it. Things like that. I'd love to do that. That's just who I am as a person. What I'm doing in this truck is just how I provide for my family. I love it. I love what I do. But right now what I'm doing there's not a whole lot of content there because, except for when I'm working on my APU, or doing something else to the truck that needs repaired, there's not a whole lot of content because I do the exact same runs over and over. So I'm not inspired by where I drive very much anymore. Although they are still every now and again in the video, I'm not inspired by where I go anymore because it's the same thing over and over. It's very, very redundant, which, you know, to me, redundancy is mundane. It's just mundanity. Is that a word? I don't even know. It's mundane. You know, doing the same thing over and over again is just a very mundane channel. So I'd try to add more things to it, and when I incorporate my interests, i.e. my cars, I can kind of make the channel, I can make a video better in my mind because I have more enjoyment creating that video. So to me, it's a better video in my opinion, and you know, maybe it'll push away some of my regular viewers, which by the way haven't been that many lately, and that could be why. Also, the lack of consistency of my channel anymore. But again, that falls in the column of mundane and redundant because of everything that I do being the same. So it's hard to have the inspiration to create more and more videos. And if I have something like I said, if I do the cars, you know, which I know now I'm just kind of repeating myself, then it might bring that creative flair back into me, and I might want to create more videos, and I can do more with those cars, and I can do more by possibly adding things, by adding cars. Like I said, not to necessarily keep, but to buy and fix and move on down the line, things like that. Like I said, I don't know when I do that, but not like I have a whole lot of time on my hands now, but you know, maybe eventually. So that's just kind of where I'm at. So, you know, like I said, whoever, you know, the person that, you know, I'm not going to point him out. Not like I had many comments on that video, so it'd be easy to find. But you know, he wasn't. I didn't take it as a rude comment. He was just making an observation. Like he said, he still watched the video, and I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody who does watch the videos, all of my videos. I appreciate all of my viewers. I'm just lacking that creativity due to redundancy that takes away my inspiration, you know. But again, I'm lucky though to be able to do what I'm doing. I really am. I'm lucky to be in the position that I'm in, with what I do, with where I'm at, driving the truck. You know, again, I don't want somebody else to take that out of context and be like, oh, he hates what he does. No, I don't hate what I do. I love what I do. And I'm very fortunate to you know, in this market, I'm very fortunate to be where I'm at. You know, I've talked about this before too. You know, I am the equivalency of, you know, of a Great Lakes freighter seeking harbor, or seeking safety in a harbor during a bad storm. You know, I am that freighter, and my company is that harbor. And the spot market right now is that, well, the economy in general is that that bad storm. So I'm very fortunate to be where I'm at, and it's again, it's afforded me to continue to enjoy my lifestyle, such as those cars. Not saying it can't end, but I could also die tomorrow, and you know what? I'd rather know that I enjoyed what I did in my life rather than just sat around and was bored the whole time. So I feel like I'm making the right choices in my own opinion. But with that said, guys, that's really all there is to this video. Again, I do want value to be in my videos, doing things like working on the APU, you know, changing the filters, the oil, things like that, so that it helps somebody out there. You know, if all they want to do is know, hey, how do you do a PM on a Carrier Comfort Pro APU? Well, there you go. On my last video, it was how do you know, if you hear clunking noise on the rear end of a S550 Mustang, which is a 2015 Ford Mustang to 2023 Ford Mustang, you know, you know, there's a good chance it's not the differential or a bearing. It's just a simple washer. And which I've actually learned since doing that you could just completely remove the washer and fix it. That apparently the washer doesn't necessarily even need to be there. But it's there. I've replaced it. If it breaks again, I will just take it off. So anyways, that's just all there is to it. You know, like I said, I like to add or create value in that respect. And it's something that I enjoy doing. So it's a win-win in my opinion. Yeah, that's just how I feel. That's how I am. But anyways, guys, y'all have it going out there. Be safe. Keep surviving to thrive. Again, in whatever it is in life that you want to survive to thrive at. And we will see you guys all in the next video, whenever that might be. All right, guys. Take care and be safe.